Finishing off the West region here on the early line for a Tuesday morning, setting the table for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight this weekend in NCAA men's college basketball. So I ask you the same question I did previously there in the South. In the West, without the odds, just to advance and get to the Final Four, who is your pick? Florida, Texas Tech, Maryland, and or Arkansas?
Yeah, no, it was. I do think it's ultimately going to be Florida against Arkansas. And shocker, I think it's going to be an all SEC region there with a trip to the national championship on the line. But again, I just think Florida is too good. I don't think Arkansas hits the three enough or plays well enough. And I think styles make fights. And Florida's a bad matchup for Arkansas. But I don't think Arkansas is a terrible matchup against Texas Tech. I think they have a pretty good shot of pulling with Coach Cal one more upset before it's all said and done.
So who would be the flyer team on that? Would it be Arkansas at the plus 950 price, get hot, maybe win that one game, chance to hedge in the second? Would Arkansas? Okay, so we'll go with Arkansas there as that flyer, along with Michigan at a 7-1 price. Let's move it over to the East, and the beast in the East is the Duke Blue Devils here. As we said, the spouching of Mount St. Mary, the 16 seed, beating the 9 seed in Baylor, now going to match up against Arizona. So this region here in the East, it's Duke and Arizona and BYU and Alabama. Talk to me about this region here, and also Duke as the minus 175 favorite, and then BYU 9-1 getting hot here. Is anybody eligible to knock off Duke in your mind in this region here?
Yeah, I think Alabama has got a pretty good shot at doing it with Nate Oates, because offensively they certainly have enough in the tank to be able to get it done there. Listen, BYU has been a great story, and I think BYU's in pretty good hands after they lost, Mark Pope to Kentucky. But this team and this group, man, they got some shooters in there, and it just goes to show you, Donnie, right? Shooting matters in these tournaments, and BYU's got some of the best in the country here, but they don't have more offense than what Alabama does. And I think if you're going to take down Duke, you have got to be able to, toe-to-toe, you've got to be able to score with them. You can't allow them to get out 15, 16, 17 points. And that's how Alabama is built here. I think Alabama is the one team in that bracket that has the shot of taking down the Duke Blue Devils here.
Yeah, you take a look, too, because the Alabama Crimson Tide, very quick tempo on offense, but play some really good defense and chase and defend the three-point line, which is something that you take a look at BYU. That's the lifeblood for them. If they're knocking down their three-point shots, they're going to be in the game regardless of who they play. Arizona is an interesting matchup against Duke, one of those upper echelon talented team that might be able to run the court, but I don't know if they have enough to get over, unless Caleb Love goes nuts and scores 35 points in that game. There's always those opportunities. So if we're looking at the East here to wrap it up, Duke probably moves on. That flyer that you're taking, would it be Alabama at the plus 350 price?
Absolutely. I think that is going to be an awful lot of fun, that game. I listen, Arizona is nice, but I don't see Arizona knocking off Duke in this game, although they are another one of these teams that, Caleb Love gets hot, and who knows? Yeah. We've seen him take over tournaments before, haven't we? And a pretty good opportunity, I think, for him to be able to do some damage here. Any which way, I'm not sweating an under in any of these games in this side of the bracket, Donnie. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's get to the Midwest here and wrap it up. Houston, the cheapest favorite, if you will, at a minus 110 price to win their region, followed by Tennessee, Kentucky, and Purdue. So if we're looking at these matchups, Houston and Purdue, Kentucky and Tennessee, and keep in mind, we are playing in Indianapolis in a football stadium. Mm-hmm. So how do we handle the Midwest here for you, Joe?
Where defense is going to matter. So I think Houston is that kind of favorite for a reason here. Plus, they've been there. They've done this. I think it's Houston's, unless they come up with some ridiculous, crazy letdown. I don't see it happening in this bracket here. Tennessee's too up and down for me. But they would be my second choice to get it done there. I don't think Kentucky or Purdue have enough on the defensive side to take down either Tennessee or Houston. So those would be my two choices here.
It's interesting, Joe, because, I don't know, until we had this conversation, bring it up. I knew the games were in Indianapolis, but when you take a look at the calling cards for these two games, right? Tennessee, elite defense. We'll find some offense. You take a look at Kentucky, elite offense. We'll find some defense. And the same thing with Houston versus Purdue. And the reason I bring that up is you need to make shots. And sometimes it's hard. And maybe in the Elite Eight, say, you know what? We played the Sweet 16 here. We found our shooting distances here. We're comfortable. That first half of the first game for both of these teams, watch out. I might just be leaning to the defensive team, Tennessee and Houston, even just in the first half alone, just to get those here. Let's shift it back over to the focus here on the men's, because again, Sweet 16 Elite Eight action coming up in a few days. Have some time to decompress, get those thoughts together, Coach. So we'll start right at the top of the heap at the FanDuel Sportsbook with the championship odds to cut down the nets. The Duke Blue Devils increasing their lead, per se, to a plus 220 price after key victories here. I don't say key victories is the right word. Impressive victories over the Mount and also Baylor before they take on Duke here coming up in the Sweet 16. Florida, Auburn, Houston, Tennessee, Alabama. Looking at those odds here, any surprises for you at this point, or we're just rolling chalk and may the best team win?
Well, listen, obviously the 4-1 seeds who net ratings were at 35 or better are obviously at the top of the board. I think Houston is a team to beat here, but the reason why Houston's got the worst odds is if you look at the 2 seeds, I think everybody trusts Tennessee more than they trust anyone else as a 2 seed with Rick Barge's team ability to play defense. I think the team, if you look at the 4-1 seeds, well, who's the one you still think is the most vulnerable? And to me, I still think it's Auburn. Now, people may look at Michigan and say, I don't know. But listen, what UConn did is show that the blueprint is to make it a street fight and to make it tough and hope that you have quality bigs. Well, Michigan rolls out 2 7-footers and Vlad Golden and obviously Danny Wolf, the transfer from Yale. Those 2 bigs are going to pose problems. Now, it's going to come down to whichever guards make more shots, but Auburn should be on alert. And if they get by Michigan, I mean, that other half, I don't think, Michigan State has been playing with fire. Let's be honest. If we look at this, and you just close your eyes and you name the top 5, the top 10 coaches in the country, Chris Beard's one of them. I mean, he's one of them. Look what he did at Texas. Left Rodney Terry, a team that went to the Elite Eight, and as soon as he had to recruit his own guys, they fired his you-know-what in 2 years. Ole Miss is a dangerous team that I think, honestly, may come out of this bracket in the South.
I'm really fascinated with, does anybody give Duke a run for the money? Because whoever they end up facing at some point here, and I think Alabama has the best shot at beating them. I don't think Arizona can do it, but I think Alabama's got the best shot of beating them if anybody's going to. But to me, this is all about, is Duke going to sweat at all, or are they going to finally get their backs up against the wall in a national championship game? And then we don't know what they're going to do here, Coach, because it's been a hot minute since Duke's been pressed at all.
Well, let me tell you something right now. I know people, including our director of social media, Rebecca Harrelson, is praying that our old buddy Caleb Love is going to do it to Duke.
Yeah.
Just like Jeremy Roach was supposed to do it to Duke in the last round. That ain't going to happen. I like Duke minus the points. I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 15 plus. Alabama, you hope, because of the inside presence of Cliff Amore as a rim protector and shot blocker. But I don't think, if you think about it, at the 4 spot, Grant Nelson, who has a propensity to get into foul trouble, has got to guard Cooper Flagg. Good luck with that one. That ain't going to work out really well for them. So to me, if there's a team that's going to give the problems to Duke, it's Houston. Because if you talk about a team that can muck the game up, that can make it a street fight, remember, Duke is one of the slowest teams in the country. Well, who may be the slowest? That's Houston. That game is going to be unbelievable. And here's the key. I know Juwan Roberts looked good there. Listen, Joe, it's the guard play. They have that guy right there, LJ Cryer, who's a shot maker. You have Emmanuel Sharp. You have Uzan, the transfer from Oklahoma. You have enough guards. You have quality bigs. And you have the style of play and the coaching that poses a matchup. If there's a team that knocks Duke off of winning a national title, it's a team I think wins it, and that's Houston.
Coach, which players impressed you the most so far in this tournament run, and who also has a chance to reach that potential, be like, that's a superstar here?
Well, listen, Cooper Flagg's been more than the goods. But to me, you look at the way LJ Cryer has been absolutely fantastic in his shot making, his shot creativity. That's the key. That's what makes Houston different than before. They got guys that can create their own shots, and there are multiple guards at that.
How about that? Region by region, we're going to go over next. Sweet 16 Thursday, maybe the best card you will ever see out here. And us three, we're going to talk about it next. Come on back with us. It's the early line. Yes, rapid fire in the regions here. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun to watch on Thursday and Friday night. The Sports Grid Network's got you covered. JY is going to be live in studio. We're going to be kicking it here as we count down to an NCAA champion. Let's start here in the East region, Coach. It's Duke, it's Alabama, it's Arizona, and BYU. What a fun bracket here. A lot of talent, a lot of tempo, and a lot of three balls going down. So I'm going to ask you this question. Give me the team you think is going to win this region, and also a team with the possible upset based on price point that you like.
Well, to me, listen, Duke is the clear favorite, and that's why, I'm going to take them at minus 175. But it's hard to take that bet. It's probably better to just take them, minus a points or whatever and kind of go game by game. If there's a team that could be the value play that can maybe pull it off, honestly, it's BYU, because they have a way that they could score in bunches. And all you need, and you've seen it obviously with Pitino and how their team's out, if you shoot the ball from three and the other team is off, the three-point shot, guys, has now become the great equalizer in basketball. So for a value play for me, it probably is BYU, because I think that their three-point shooting, if they get hot for a couple of games, could lead to upsets. And that's why I like it at any place at 9-1.
So you had mentioned earlier, Coach, out in the South region that you think the number one seed Auburn still very vulnerable here, taking on a Michigan team that only knows how to win close games, apparently. But boy, that Ole Miss Michigan State Izzo versus Beard is going to be fascinating as well, isn't it?
It is. And a guy in Tom Izzo that is the best to me, in this generation of after timeouts, after halftime, just adjusting on the fly. There's no one better than Tom Izzo. He's got more tricks up his sleeve than anyone else. But Chris Beard's team is really tough, and they're battle-tested in that SEC. And I just think if Ole Miss can get out to a lead, they have enough that they can kind of pull this out. So to me, that's the team I'm looking at. I'm looking at Ole Miss possibly pulling off the upset here and taking out Michigan State. So for me, I don't believe Auburn's coming out of this region. They haven't looked good going into the tournament, right? They didn't cover their first round game. They literally were in a game with Creighton until the last 5 minutes, until Creighton's wheels fell off. And now I don't know if they can get past Michigan and Ole Miss or Michigan State. So to me, I look at the other side. Who I like more? I like Chris Beard. I like his team's ability to defend, and I think they have enough scoring. So plus 650, that's a value play right there for Ole Miss to come out of the South.
Absolutely. I feel like two wild cards there, like Ole Miss and Michigan, when they're playing at their top end of the game, where it seems that coming into the tournament, maybe sort of, we're not going to really watch them through. Eventually they get knocked out. Those 650 price and 7-1 price is very valuable in that region there. Let's move it over to the Midwest. It's Houston, it's Tennessee, it's Kentucky and Purdue. My goodness. If you get the Elite Eight matchup with Houston and Tennessee, rock'em sock'em robot, turn off change out the 3-point line, turn off the shot clock. Let's go back to 1983 and get it popping here. Is Houston your favorite team in this? And also, if it's not Houston, boy, look at some of those price points, 240, 6-1, and 7-1. Talking about Kentucky and Purdue, Coach.
Yeah, I think Houston is the clear favorite, and as they should be because of their ability to defend. If there's a value play, guys, it's simple. It's Purdue. Why? They're in Indy. And I still don't understand that a Houston team that wanted to go to the West because they were worried about what was going to happen. And that's Purdue basically having a home game. It's not going to be at Mackey, but it's going to feel like it. So can Purdue and those guards that have experience with Lawyer and Smith, right? Can Kaufman-Wren do enough inside? I get worried about him getting into foul trouble like he did in the first game of the tournament, obviously. But if there's a value play, it's Purdue for the simple fact that they're basically at home.
Yeah, the two defensive teams versus two offensive teams should be an interesting when it all said and done there. But what about the West? I'm a big Florida guy. I don't think Maryland stands a chance, and I would not at all be shocked if Arkansas beats Texas Tech here, Coach. What are you thinking?
This is the one that's going to be completely wild. I mean, I was on St. John's because I thought that St. John's was going to be the type of team that was going to make the game a street fight, right? So Dan Hurley has shown that that is going to be the way to beat Florida. So who out of those three teams can make it the biggest street fight? It's Texas Tech. Maryland, listen, you can say whatever you want about Reese's shot. Derek Reese's shot the buzzer. They shouldn't have been in that damn position to begin with because, number one, they didn't foul with a foul to give. And number two, you're up by 2. Everybody knows the one thing you don't do is give up a 3. So Kevin Willard showed what Kevin Willard does at times, which is drive people crazy, but he's got immense talent. I don't think he has the guard play to go against Florida, although his bigs can match up with Florida's bigs. The other side, Arkansas is so intriguing, because, and I want people to understand this. They are where they were supposed to be. Don't tell me this Cinderella run with Calipari and, oh my God, this is they were a top 15 team to begin the year. They're a top 5 talent team. That team tremendously underachieved, and they shot the ball like you know what. And R.J. Lewis decided, I'll hold your beer and I'll shoot it worse than you guys, right? So to me, Texas Tech, Grant McCaslin's done a great job with this team. I think that's a team that takes it out, and I think they get to the Final Four at plus 280.
Yeah, I need Chance McMillan to come back, light it up from the three-point line. I've loved Texas Tech all year long. Let's see if they can put it together. If we just focus on Thursday, Coach, there is one game, BYU and Alabama. 175.5 as that total. If I give you a free wager today on a Tuesday, is that game going over or is that game staying under?
No, that game's going over. There will be if you play defense in that game, you're probably getting benched. Okay, layup lines, 3-point shots, back and forth, up and down. It will be a game of runs. This will be a game that you can play multiple times because it's just going to bounce back and forth with runs.
I'm telling you, one of the best cards I've seen in a long time is that Thursday night slate for the Sweet 16 is going to be absolutely sensational, and we're going to have you covered here at the Sports Grid Network. Now, thinking about having covered Joe Ranieri and the coach going to continue next guy, I got to go to radio. Kevin's not showing up again today. Somebody's got to hold down the fort. That's your boy right here. We'll be back. See ya.